Alright, welcome back to another Dave's Arcade. I'm Dave. How's everybody doing? Let me adjust this a little bit. So, I've been away for a little bit, last couple weeks, and it looks like my audio is good. The reason I was away the last couple of weeks because I had vacation. Not last week, but the week prior. I was in Florida, and then I got back, and it was basically hurry up and get everything ready to go for Midwest Gaming Classic, which was this past weekend. So it was basically a marathon getting stuff ready for that. The reason I'm in front of Stargazer right now is because my friend Mark had some issues with his Flight 2000 at the show, and so I was gathering parts, just trying to guess what might be going on because it wasn't booting up. And so I grabbed a rectifier board. I didn't have a rebuilt solenoid driver board on my parts shelf, so I had to grab one out of a game that I knew worked great. So I'm just gonna put this back. Pretty simple. So yeah, the show went really well. I brought 2 games to the show, which I'm going to set up one of them as soon as I'm done with this. I had Torpedo Alley and Mars Trek EM at the show, and I put them both in the tournament, and I picked those because they worked well, and honestly I didn't have to touch them the whole show, which was awesome. Everything worked perfectly. Nobody had to call me or nothing. So, that freed me up to kind of babysit the American Pinball games while I was there. Which that was kind of a bit stressful, I guess, at the start. So if you didn't know, I'm the tech service manager for American Pinball, and they chose Friday to set up, which is also the start of the show at 6 o'clock. So you have to get there, get everything unloaded, unpack everything, and then get it all set up and situated. It's a lot to get it all set up. If you've ever unboxed a new game before, I mean, there's more to it than if you were to get, like, if you already have a game or used game, you already know, like, you already have the legs, the balls, all this stuff. There's just more to it with a new game, getting things set up, ready to go. So it's just stuff that you don't think about, if you're setting up a used game. Like, you gotta put the tilt bob on, and you gotta put the topper on, and you gotta do, get certain settings switched in the game. For example, like C&K. What's going on? Yeah, so certain settings in the game. Yeah, it was kind of late. Honestly, I would have much preferred to set up an MGC on Thursday, which every other manufacturer is doing. Just about. I mean, it looked like CGC was still kind of situating stuff on Friday, but all the games were already there. So it makes it stressful and a marathon for all the people involved. And then it was kind of a shit show as far as like, you know, coordinating. This is the stuff that you don't hear about behind the scenes. Just, you know, making sure that things... Yes, I did survive the stress, almost, and I'll tell you about that too. So I might have mentioned it on another stream that you were on, but anyway, so it was just a shit show with all of the packing, like all the games that were brought. I think they just kind of cobbled things together, and the packing process wasn't correct. Like, this is so stupid, and now I'm dealing with it. They put the leg levelers inside the coin box. So think about how that doesn't make sense with a brand new game. There's a strap that goes around the game covering the coin door. You can't get into the coin door unless you cut that strap that holds the head down. See how that's a problem? So I pulled the production guy, Barry, over. Like, you see how this doesn't make sense? The levelers need to go with the legs. So someone didn't follow the checklist to get that right. And then it's other stupid stuff like adjusting the lock bars for it needs to feel solid when you're handling the game, right? You shouldn't have a floppy lock bar. And there's 2 adjustment screws on the lock bar receiver that weren't adjusted at all. And yeah, exactly. You can put them on legs, but then you don't have the levelers. Anyway, so I had to go through and adjust every single lock bar so it was tight. I had to go into the menu system and change a setting for to clear the shooter lane after, I think it's like 30 or 60 seconds. Because you know what happens, kids go up, or even adults, they push the start button and add 4 players, and then they walk away. So if you have that setting, at least it'll clear the shooter lane and kind of go through and finish the game automatically. And then what else? Yeah, putting on the toppers. There were some circumstances with like leg bolts were forgotten, a couple toppers were forgotten, one whole game was forgotten. Like they grabbed an international one instead. That was stupid. What else? All the Valhallas needed code update, but I already knew that. What else? And I don't know. After all that, I mean, I know I'm complaining about it. Oh, his new Led Zeppelin. There's no Led Zeppelins at the show. I didn't see any. Was there supposed to be a Led Zeppelin there? Oh, I didn't hear anything. Anyway, so yeah, once the craziness of setting up was done, it was, you know, we got everything set up, but did I win the wheel? Oh, I didn't spin it. No. So actually, we're having a guest, Daryl. You've probably seen him before. We played his Halloween. Oh, I don't know, a few weeks back now. And he actually picked Sea Witch, so that's going to be the game. But yeah, poor dog. We were just going through the shit show of MGC setup, but it was great. The one great thing that happened, or a couple great things. So I took I said I took 2 games to the tournament, Torpedo Alley and Mars Trek. And I had taken them on Thursday, but I couldn't set anything up because the tournament was in the main hallway. They had like a special tent section or whatever. And so before I even got to the show on Friday, when I was going to set up my 2 games, I get a text from Rachel Lelge, who was running the tournament. We've also had her on. She runs the Ladies Flip Wisconsin tournaments. Anyway, she was heading that for MGC, and she's like, hey, would you like our people to set it up? Which they're also friends of mine. It's like, yeah. So they set up both. No, they set up one of my games, the Mars Trek. They had some questions on or whatever, but anyway, so they set that up and got it leveled and put it into place. And so really, once it was all set up and done, I didn't have to touch those games for the entire time. They just worked perfectly. So I was super happy about that. Oh, you recently bought a Sea Witch? Nice. Wait, Sea Witch populated playfield. Okay. All right. So, I'm sure you know about the cabinet guys in California. It's like Easy Pinball. They sell flat pack cabinets, so you can get a brand new cabinet. And then Third Coast Pinball. Wait, if you have a populated playfield, that means you already have the wiring harness. But you will need the back box wiring harness and the cabinet wiring harness that goes down for like the coin door and the rectifier board. So still, Third Coast Pinball would be your guy for that. So he would have all the wiring for it. Yeah. So awesome. Where was I? Oh, Friday. So I didn't even get to level the damn games. I mean, they were, I guess Barry did left to right level, but I didn't get a chance to crawl under there and do everything perfectly the way that I would normally do stuff. But nobody seemed to complain on it. There were a few minor things on Saturday that I had to adjust. I need to re-educate playfield testing people about proper flipper adjustment, because that wasn't right. There was too much resistance happening, and the more resistance and drag you have on flippers, the faster they heat up and the weaker they get, and they don't quite get that. And I think what people don't know is the people that work in manufacturing they're not necessarily pinball players per se, so they don't really know exactly how it's supposed to feel. Anyway, I think this one is set. Yeah. Move this crap out of the way. And my friend Ed at Victory Glass, share this with you. So Victory Glass is fixing to be the jukebox, so the pinball life of jukebox parts. And they're moving the business from Iowa to Appleton, Wisconsin. I think it's somewhere in Des Moines right now. Hey, Brian, what's going on? Good to see you. So, anyway, talk with Ed, because I bought a Rockola, it's called Capri something, Capri 2. It looks like this. Anyway, he's got this super duper nice manual and schematics. Look at this thing. It's got like heavyweight paper, super easy to read, diagrams. I mean, this spiral bound, this thing is like a $100 manual. It's crazy nice. So I'm going to learn more about jukebox repair. Mine works now, but I need to, I got a capacitor kit for the amplifier. They got everything labeled on there, even a schematic for it. D-Dad, I hear a lot of people complain about American flippers on locations, games getting weak, but I've never had an issue with my home use Hot Wheels or Oktoberfest. Yeah, and I can talk more on that if you want. In fact, I need to make a video on that, which I think I'm gonna shove to the front of the line, because it could also be reference for the final playfield testing people that install, because they're the ones that put in the flipper bats, and they kind of get everything adjusted the way that it's supposed to go. So but I can talk about it real quick. Let me put this by the jukebox quick, and I can grab a flipper mech and show you that. So sit tight, sit tight. All right. And make a little adjustment here on the spring. Cut it right here. Alright, I need grab a socket wrench. You know what? I could probably just clip this and use it maybe. Let's see. No. Okay. Okay. Flipper mechs. So I'm just gonna do. I'm gonna put it in poorly and show you kind of what they're doing. Okay. There's more. Okay. Here we go. All right, flipper mech. Yeah. So you have the bottom of the flipper mech, right? Let me focus this right there. Okay. So on the top side, you have, your flipper bat, right? Not even sure if that's at the. It doesn't matter for the right angle, but see, you have your bat, and the shaft goes through the playfield, through this plastic bushing, right? And then it gets attached to the flipper pawl, that clamps onto the bat shaft right here, okay? And so when you're looking at the underside of the playfield, you'll be seeing like this side view, right? So the main things, what I want you to pay attention to, and production people, is all of the areas of resistance, right? So think about the function of this, the mechanics of this, right? The coil energizes, creates a magnetic field, and pulls the metal plunger into the coil, right? And so you want that action to be as smooth as it possibly can be. And so now you ask yourself, what are the forces that are preventing that action going into the coil? And there are three things that can create. There are three things that can create drag or resistance on this mechanical action. So one of them is the alignment of the plunger going into the coil. And what I mean by that is this needs to be going in straight and smooth. And how you control that is actually here on the, so when this is going in, you might be able to see how there's like a slight more gap on the top. I purposely did that because this is like an incorrect adjustment. So what's happening right here is I actually have this pawl up close, almost tight to the bushing, and that's not correct. It needs to have a gap of about, on this particular mech, it's about 1/8 of an inch, right? I'll talk about that in a minute, Brian. So what can happen? So the control for that, this is the nut for the clamping that pawl, and it's 3/8 nut, so it clamps on there, right? So if this pawl is up too high or too low, what that's going to do is it's actually going to drag on the leading edge of this coil sleeve and the trailing edge of the coil sleeve as it goes in, and it's creating that unneeded resistance. And I've even seen extreme circumstances where somebody would flip and the bat would just, when they let go of the flipper button, it would just stay there until they would tap the flipper button a few times, and then it would drop back down. So that's one area of resistance. So you need to loosen up that nut and then just move this pawl down, like I said, about 1/8 of an inch, so you can kind of see right about there. And if you have like a keychain, like a keychain plastic that came in your goodie bag, that's about perfect. That's the thickness that you want. And D-Dot, if you want, I can actually I can 3D print you a nice little Dave's Arcade gap tool if you want it. Anyway, so you tighten that up, okay? And you don't want to go too crazy on this. This flipper pawl here, you see how it has a gap, and that's what's clamping down. You don't need to wrench the crap out of this thing, because that gap is going to close, and once it's closed, the only way that you get that back apart again is you have to like pry it apart. So really you just need to just close it down until it's clamped and it's snug. And then the way to test it is you, with the playfield glass off, you hit the flipper button so your bat goes up, and then you can kind of, you know, use your hands to kind of force it up or down. If you can still move the bat, then you need to tighten it a little bit more. So anyway, that's one piece. Sorry, long-winded. All right, two more things, right? The next things are quite simple. The end of stroke switch right here. Okay. You have a pawl that has this angled arm that closes the end of stroke switch. Okay. So take a look at how this is closing when the bat comes down. And so all coils are dual wound coil or power coils. At least these are. And which means when you hit the flipper button, you have high power going to this coil, and that's your initial kick. But when you hold the flipper button, it switches to low power when it closes this end of stroke switch. So that means if this end of stroke switch closes before this plunger gets all the way into the coil, it's going to cut off the power to the coil before it should. And so therefore you don't get the full amount of power that this coil can offer. Okay? So when I'm closing this thing, you watch, it goes and then stop right there. Now I have about almost half an inch of play right there. See that? My coil is now, it is low power right there. See all that play? I just lost that power for the last quarter of that coil. That's incorrect. Okay? So all you have to do with that is, let's see. You can get a switch adjustment tool at any pinball parts supplier. It's just a rod with a slot in the end, and you can, you know, adjust from the side here. I mean, you can even, I just do it with my fingers. It's not that hard. Just move the blades out further and then recheck. So that's too much right there. I'm gonna go back. That's a little too far back. So this is a little bit easier to fine tune it. So you just bend the blades back away from the pawl. And you want about maybe a 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch gap between the two contacts. All right. So that, I get one more. There we go. There we go. That's about perfect. Maybe a little bit more. A little bit more. There we go. There we go. Okay. So now, awesome. Well, I'm glad sometimes I give people more information than they really want. So I'm glad it's helpful. So all right, there's the very end, right? So I'm just starting to touch it, and you should have a little bit of overwipe. Okay, see that end of stroke here? It pushes it just a little bit beyond.
The time machine is waiting.
So you have nice contact. It shouldn't be just a touch. It should be, it has just a little bit pushing past on this far blade, so you have good contact. Okay, so that's end of stroke switches. All right, the last thing is the return spring. Okay, the return spring has, all springs have a tension to it, right? This is a tension spring. And what is the point of the return spring? Well, it's to return the bat down to its resting point, right? Well, that's all it needs to do. Look how fast this thing goes down. It doesn't need to go crazy, right? So this spring is pulling back on the bat. That is another area of resistance. And I can tell you that the return springs on new games, they are stiffer for a reason, because you want these things to last. I think on early Houdini games, they would break at these loops, and so they got a stiffer spring, so they would stop breaking. But on the flip side of that, you now have to take some of the tension out of it, so it's not pulling back on the, like I said, that resistance pulling back on the bat. So what I like to do is grab a hold of this spring, and you want to pull out and stretch it out. Oops, now this is actually not, damn it, I did too much. This is actually not the correct one that comes with the game. I had to ship those off to somebody. So these are just some ones that I had, but it'll show you the example. Put this back on here. Okay. So, damn it. 1 second. And if you stretch it too much, like I just did, it's not that big a deal. What you can do is you can cut off some loops, and I do this on EM games all the time. You just bend off a loop, and then you just cut off the part of the spring. Okay, so put this back on. Sorry, it's going like a little hole on the flipper pawl here. Get in there. And there's one on this. Okay. Right. So back to this. You just want to stretch it out a little bit, because all it needs to do is bring that bat to rest. You can do a little bit at a time. There we go. So that's about perfect right there. Maybe just a little bit more. There we go. Okay. So you'll have to, kind of go by feel, but this should be, when you move this up and down, you should feel almost no resistance at all. It just needs enough that it snaps back, and it should be nice and smooth. You don't feel any, so you move it slow, so moving it slow is you're gonna feel the resistance of the plunger going into the coil to make sure that is right. Make sure that you check the sort of that alignment of it going in and out of that of the coil, so it's nice and straight. Make sure that your end of stroke switch is closing at the very end of the stroke, and then make sure that this spring only has enough tension to return the bat to the down position. That's it. Sorry, that was long-winded, but I think it's important that I talk about that stuff. So, and that was practice for the edited video that I need to make. So, all right. Brian, or Crass Mage? I don't know how to say it, Brian. I'm sorry. So he mentioned swag. I have Dave's Arcade swag. In fact, let me do this. So you see I have Dave's Arcade embroidered hat. This is one design of a wizard, and I specifically made them, or I commissioned to have them made. He actually has my carpet design in the hat. And then, so I have like 3 different ones. My goal for the designs were, I wanted the logo to be a small part of the overall art, and I wanted people to want buying the shirt or whatever, the art being the main thing, not just a logo. And so I have shirts, I have hats, and then I also have mugs. This is the mad scientist working on a monster game, and a mug. And I'll post up the link in a second, and then it has the logo on the other side. And then there's like stickers and stuff. So let me pull that up quick. It's right here. This, and then I need to go to store. And here it is. Copy. Yes, it is original art made for me. Yep. So I have Space One, a wizard, and a mad scientist. And I am open to other ideas. Basically, I'm just kind of incorporating what sort of the vibe that my arcade has. So I need to still do something with lava lamps, because I have a lot of those. And if you see something in there like, hey, I'd rather, have a shirt in a different color or something like that. The way that Streamlabs works for their merch store is I have to pick like the certain shirt or hat style, and I place the art where I want it to go, and then they only let you pick so many colors. So if you want something different, please reach out.
Play your all with Zachariah
Okay. Yeah. Any tips on soldering at odd angles? I struggle with getting clean welds on 45 angles, like resoldering flipper connections when they're installed on the playfield. So yeah, I can talk about that quick. So soldering in tight spots, what I like to do is solder on both sides first. So for example, you mentioned flipper wire connections. First thing is make sure that your flipper connections, especially on older games, they tend to like get frayed and nasty and kind of like a big blob of solder slash strands of wire. If it's like that, personally, I like to clip that, restrip it, make a nice end, twist it together, and then I solder the wire itself first. Then you have fresh solder on there with typical solder has a flux core, and so if it's old solder and you're trying to like heat that up and like the flux is gone. So do that first, and then your solder lug. Usually they have holes in them where you can put the wire in there and solder it. You can solder both sides, the lug and that first individually. Then you put them together and then heat them up together, and then it'll go. Another tip: forceps. Go to like Harbor Freight or even Amazon. He's got like the little clips, right? Pinch the two things together, and then it'll just sit there, and then your hand's free and you're not burning your hand. So grab a set of forceps, put that in your pinball toolbox. All right, moving on to Torpedo Alley. I need to set this thing up. Where was it? What? Board dog? Bonus face shirt? Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Enjoy. Did you get black? There's only a handful of colors, but I think it also looks pretty decent in gray. I tried to pick the best colors, like, you know, some graphics don't look great with certain colors, so. And give it, since it is direct print, which you know, you do TeePublic, it takes a little bit for them to process. So I think it took like a week to process, and then like another couple, or maybe it was a week and a half to process, and then like a week to ship. So, oh, nice. Heather Gray, that works. So, I think I might have told you on a previous stream how TeePublic screwed me over and deleted my account. I uploaded that first space design, because that was the first one, and what was it? I uploaded it and I ordered stuff for myself. I ordered a shirt and a sticker, and like the next day, so it said it processed the order, whatever. Then the next day, I just get a notification saying, you're in violation of our something policy and your account is now deleted. Not just like, hey, warning, something's wrong with your thing, like we're putting a hold on. No, deleted. Everything. Like, what the hell? So I sent a note to their legal department, and apparently it's like, if you only upload one piece of art, or if you don't have a collection of art, maybe, like they want people to have a whole store and not just like one design, maybe. It is a whole bunch of bullshit. So I said, well, fuck you guys. I'm not gonna have to jump through all these hoops and, you know, do what you want. So I just use Streamlabs like Buffalo is using. There's different nuances to it, but the quality is just about the same. So and I also I put the price is oh, thanks, Ryan. Yeah, so yeah, you're ahead of me, Board Dog. So I put the price super low. That's the nice thing about Streamlabs versus TeePublic is TeePublic, I think, has just a fixed amount of profit that the owner of the art can make, and Streamlabs there's like a sliding scale, right? And so depending on what the what's the item that you pick. So if you pick like a super nice quality shirt, the base price is going to be higher because of the garment, and then overall it's going to be more expensive. Anyway, so I put it down like basically making nothing, because all I really care about is like if I can try to make back some of the money I spent for commissioning the artist, which I probably never will, but maybe. So, I got a nice little letter from Rachel Logie, who ran the tournament at MGC. You see what she wrote? It says, "Simply grateful. Dave, thank you for bringing 2 games to MGC. Really appreciate your support and encouragement. You are so rad. Thanks a million, Rachel." That's nice. She took the time to put a card in the coin boxes. That's awesome. All right. Yeah, I think Steve Bowden took second in that tournament. Do I use Streamlabs to stream or regular? I use just OBS, but there's like a plug-in with Streamlabs. So basically, all of the little widgets and stuff, like for chat and widgets for chat and like notifications, all that stuff goes through Streamlabs. This one, these. Brian, mad scientist, I figured you would pick that one. Thank you. Appreciate it. That one is pretty badass. I like that. And again, if you have some ideas, I want to do something that incorporates like a lava lamp. And so I purposely went to an artist that does psychedelic art, but I put in like my requirements. I didn't want anything drug related in the art. I like the colors, I like that look. But I could see if the it would probably limit my sales if I had drug things. Plus it's just a little bit more universal. But yeah, this guy is super good. And he could knock out a design in like, I don't know, 3-4 days, which is really awesome. And just basically I put together a really rough sketch or idea, and like, hey, this is what I want to do or have you do, and then he like kind of put together just a couple of sketches, and then I would say like, okay, I like this one probably the best, but then can you do, change this around, do this, do that, kind of, you're being an art director. And yeah, it was super super fun process. Grab that socket. Stuck. All right, Brian, thanks for hanging out. Really appreciate it. Thanks for buying the shirt, too. Need blood and gore if you want more of my Okay. I know. You're into the horror games and movies. I'll think about it. I do like the monster games, so. All right. Let's see. So what else has happened recently? And been playing around a lot more with a 3D printer. Yeah, where the hell did my socket wrench go? Jeez, I had it. I tell ya. Hopefully nobody took it from the show. Looks like it walked off. Fantastic. No. I'm an idiot. It's right here. So I've been playing around with 3D printer a lot lately, and I made my second design. The first design was just a basic washer that I needed for work, which came in handy actually at the show. So on Valhalla, there's a boat it's the ball lock, and basically the thing that holds the balls back is just a down post. So you shoot a ball in there, and the post stays up, and then there's optos inside the boat, and then when you lock 3, it starts multi-ball, and that down post comes down and releases the balls. Well, there's a spring on that down post that's held back with a C-clip, and the C-clip pushes down the spring, and then the spring pushes it back up. Well, the problem is the C-clip is the spring will sometimes jump over the C-clip, and then it won't be springy anymore. So I've had that happen on a few people's games. It happened on the last time we streamed Valhalla on Buffalo. So what I did for the Buffalo stream was I just took a coil sleeve and I cut off the end, the flanged end, and I made a washer, right? So it got us through, and it worked for the rest of the stream, which is great. But, so I'm talking with the engineer, and they're like, well, that washer for that diameter, that inside and outside diameter, is a special washer. And if you want one, we have to have it made. So I was like, well, that's stupid. So I measured it, and I just went on Google SketchUp, and I just took 2 circles, boom, boom, and made it 3-dimensional, about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch, and I printed out some of those suckers. Yeah, they're plastic, but they freaking work, and I can print out every one that we need for the game. Or for all the games in 2 print jobs. So, but I think they're still gonna get metal ones. It's just it's one of those things where I want a solution now for people that have problems now. I don't need a solution, months down the road. If I got somebody that's operating the game and this is a problem, Like, you can't sit on it and wait for your metal supplier to give you some washers. So anyway, that was my first original. And then the second one I just made, I made a lava lamp base. You know, the thing that holds the light bulb. I made it perfectly. And if you don't know, lava lamp base is, it's two cones, right? One that goes up, and then inside is a appliance bulb. So I made it perfectly, dimensions and everything. I go to the hardware store. I get it's like a ceramic light bulb socket, extension cord. So it put it together perfectly. My dimensions were great. Get it all set up. Turn the thing on. Can you guess what happened next? The fucking thing melted. It's like, well, you know, I checked before I even turned it on what the temperature would be for PLA. So I'm running PLA Plus, which is similar strength characteristics to like PET-G. So it's a little stronger than regular PLA. Anyway, it the melting temperature is like 200 Celsius, and so that's what the nozzle is, or extrude at, right? So it might start to get soft, maybe in the 150 range. But then I consulted Google. Well, what's an appliance bulb? What does the heat get up to? It's like, well, it said 50 C or 60 C. Like, okay, I'm probably fine then. It's not that hot. So put it all together, started up, and within a minute it started getting soft. And the what was I gonna say? Oh, so I measured the bulb after the fact, and I actually measured it at 135 C was the max that I was able to get. So just put the temperature probe directly on the bulb. So now I know what the max is. And so I ordered some ABS plastic, which has a higher temperature rating. Like the extrusion temperature is like 200 and I think it's extrude between 230 and 260. So I might be able to get away with it with ABS, but again, it could be another epic fail. So we'll see. Why do we have so many leg bolts in my coin box? There's way more leg bolts than what this game needs. I didn't break down the game, so somebody grabbed. Might be for my other game. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. So, anyway, I know even though it was a fail, it was fun because I made something with it. And that's ultimately what I want to get to, is be able to create my own designs. And so that's the big hurdle, is learning the design programs and how they work. So I struggled through it. I used to play around with CAD in college, but that was two-dimensional. and I haven't messed with it in a long time. So doing 3-dimensional is a whole other thing, but it's doable. Just like anything, you know. Like a year ago, I didn't know a damn thing about video production and streaming and stuff like that. You got to sit down and learn it. That's all there is to it. Yeah, I do have a cart for this too, but it's over there. And this is faster. There we go. All right. So what else? Oh, I didn't even talk about vacation. I went to Florida. It was like still spring break for, I think, high school at the time. So we got some of that crowd. I ended up going to the Panhandle, and the area was called what was that? Santa Rosa Beach, or also known as 30A. And it's in between Destin and Panama City, which years and years ago in high school, I went to Panama City for spring break. I mean, that was like 20 years ago now. So it's, we didn't end up going into Panama City at all. That's like the party place. So the in between those two is so Panama City is like a bigger, kind of more touristy type place with hotel resorts and stuff. And then so in between there, going west, is what did I say it was? Santa Rosa Beach. It's like all residential, so there's really no or not many at all hotels. It's all residential houses, and so the only way that you can stay there is you got to rent a house. So there's like house rentals, or Airbnb is a big thing there. And so rather than getting like high school and college spring breakers in that area, it was typically their parents were, that's where they spring break, and they took the kids along. And so it was a very surreal type of place. If you've ever seen The Truman Show, apparently it was filmed around there, you know, like those perfect houses and like, you know, landscaping and stuff. Somewhere around there, I heard they filmed. Hey, Game Club Central, thank you for the bits. Good to see ya. Sorry, I've been on a little hiatus lately. It was vacation and shows and stuff. So yeah, Florida was fun. We stayed in a town called Seaside, and there's the back glass that's coming out, of course. Something with my latch. Anyway, so Seaside was really cool. It was just a place where you could bike and golf cart around everywhere. So that's what we did. The house that we rented came with bikes and a golf cart. Yeah. So this was, I was talking about. I'm setting this back up because I took it to Midwest Gaming Classic for the tournament. Took this one and a Mars Trek EM, and so just putting it back in its spot. Of course, they latched it down, so that's okay. A screwdriver. There it is. Yeah, super fun place. Stayed there for a week. Beaches were white sand. Super fun. I will say though that I tried that skimboarding. You know, it's like just a wood board, and you like on the shore, and you kind of throw it, and then you're supposed to like use it like a, I don't know, skateboard type of thing. Anyway, it was my nephew's, so it wasn't adult size, and I am not kid size. So as soon as I jump on the thing, it like immediately sinks, and then I go flying forward, and then I got all skinned up because it's like packed sand, so it's like sandpaper. So I got like my legs skinned up, and it's like, well, that's enough of that. But yeah, good time. I stayed with my brother and his wife and 2 kids. You know, drank too much, and then I came back. Kind of got a little sick on the way, like kind of a cold or whatever towards the end of the trip. And then I come back, and I was having some issues. Ended up going to the doctor on Monday, Tuesday, and I had elevated blood pressure, like 170 over 100. And so basically now I'm in the old man club. I am now on blood pressure medication, which kind of sucks, but you know, it just goes like, kind of figured it was happening. I drink too much, and I think, you know, being sick didn't help either. And then, you know, I need to eat better, all those things that the doctors tell you to do. But stabilized now, so that's good. But not fun, for sure. Oh, give me the key. why this damn thing. They have a wrong latch on this. Maybe. I don't know. Key for it's on the top of the back box, and I'm vertically challenged. I have to feel around and find the damn thing. There we go. All right. All right, get this off. Made these little toppers. So this is another 3D print thing. It's actually for like a little product photo booth thing that I found on Thingiverse. So it's just a curved thing with a slot in it. So I just printed out this topper or just a piece of paper and laminated it, and then I just put a QR code so then people at the show or playing in the tournament would know whose game it was and could follow. So hopefully people enjoyed it. I got, I suppose I printed a couple out for my games, and I printed out a couple for Mark's Basement Arcade. And I got a couple followers out of it, so, it's kind of worth it. Everything still working? Oh, I don't have power over here yet. Oh. Power.
Hello. Play your all. Zaccaria 3-ball.
It works. There we go. I got one. Forgot to take the freaking balls out, but that's alright. That's all free. Alright. These must be to Mars Trek, because there's like extra bolts in the coin box. Yeah, Game Club Central, if you're still there. I was talking about it earlier. I finally got in the swag from Streamlabs, so got my hat. I got some different shirts just to test out the quality. Even got a mug with the Mad Scientist and then logo on the other side. The shirts actually, so I ordered this before I made the change, but the shirts have a logo on the sleeve that I added. So this one doesn't have it, but anyway, I'll post that up again. This one. copy. So if you wanted to check out the designs, they're at that link. All right. Now, on to the actual game that we're streaming tomorrow night. Which is right here. See which. I need to clear off stuff and get it slid over. This one. Remove the camera a bit. There we go. This way. I was going through Jack Daniels. You'll appreciate this then. I went to my parents', I don't know, quite a few months back, and I got this whole box of toys, like He-Man toys and wrestling toys and turtles and stuff that I had, G.I. Joes, things that when I was a kid. It's just like they're all kind of mixed together. And in the box, my streaming partner Ryan told me who it was. I'm like, doesn't this guy look like Dave Fix if he just had a hat? And look, he's got punching action. He's even got the mustache. So, I just need to like 3D print him a hat. He's got this sweet mullet. So he said he was like, it doesn't say on the guy. I'll have to ask him. He'll be here tomorrow, but anyway, if I can 3D print a hat, that could pass as Dave Fix. So. All right. Put this coin box back. How are you doing, Jack Daniels? Yes, just leave it on his desk. That'd be great. Yes. So now I just need to find. Oh, you know what? I bet you that's something going on with. I don't know why it does that. As soon as you open the door. Oh, I think it's telling you. Is that putting credits on it? I don't know. Maybe get out of there. Oh, it went into the service menu. Why? There you go. Does it do it when I open the door again? Oh, okay. That's just telling you that it disabled current. That's how Data East must have did it. Alright. Moving stuff off of Sea-Witch. So we have guests coming for the stream tomorrow. And he picked Sea-Witch, so that's what we're playing. Otherwise, it would have spun the wheel of chance and see what we have. This needs to be moved back. gotta put the Easter decorations back up in the scary crawl space hole. Focus here. Oh. Still have a Mark's Basement Arcade hat. It's supposed to go to Max. They're gonna fit? No. One box at a time. And then they just sit in there until next time. Decorations are stupid. You just lug them out every year, set up things, and just keep accumulating Christmas ornaments. You know. This. Alright. Turn this off. So, can't put it on a cart right away because I have my floating shelf for the lava lamps. I've done that before. Put it on the cart, jack it up, and then I hit the shelf. Oh. But this is so close to the streaming area that I'm just gonna scooch it along. I don't need the cart. This is, I can show you. This is an original sea witch, but I've restored, this is one of my earlier restorations. I touched up and clear coated the playfield on it. Is that focused well enough? So I did not want to wait for CPR or John Great Witch. I mean, it just takes, when they say that they're going to make something, it just takes forever for them to come out with it. So there's some stuff that I could have improved when doing this, but I think it turned out pretty damn nice, and I didn't have to wait. So I didn't have to strip everything off the bottom, but I did end up getting a John Great Witch back glass for it. And then I got CPR plastics. I think that's, and then I painted. Worked a bit on your Houdini. You had a Houdini? What's wrong? Is it broke? I'll show you the cabinet quick too. So that's Pinball Pimp stencils. They're pretty easy. This is just a two color. Well, you got your base color blue, and then you have like the aqua and then black. So I guess maybe they're all like that. It's just waves. Nothing super crazy on the part there. Anyway. Well, you didn't email me or call me, so I assume it wasn't too terrible. I knew that you had a Hot Wheels. I didn't know you had a Houdini. But yeah, they're way different playing games between the two. Houdini's more of like a session game, or more, I would say there's quite a bit of depth to the rules, more so than I know of the nuances to, and it's more stop and go compared to Hot Wheels. So I think my preference is kind of, I lean more towards Hot Wheels and Valhalla because of the speed. But upper catapult was weak with any coil setting. Okay. So did you get it, or you still need help with that? Just kind of get it into position. There you go. All right. Move this over here. There we go. So that catapult shot is, I mean, that's not a new mech. That was used in Star Trek The Next Generation. Not sure if it was used before that, but basically it's a cup, the swinging arm, so that's what you're talking about. I had a feeling the switch is bent in a bad way, but not enough time to test it for... Okay, so it's been working lately. Okay. So one thing I'll say on that is, so there's a cup with a slot in it that there's like a micro switch arm that has like a kind of half circle end, and what can happen is the ball goes into the cup and it pushes that switch down, which might be hard for other people to visualize, but basically it pushes that switch arm down into the cup, and then the ball sits inside there. And ideally, that ball is at the bottom of the cup, should be at the point at which the micro switch will activate, right? If that switch is too far down, meaning that lever is too far down, it will never activate the button on the micro switch. And if it's too far up, then it's actually going to prop up the ball, and your ball will sit off center, not in the pocket. And think of it as like a throwing arm, like for baseball, right? If it's off center, then it will throw off center, meaning kind of like if you were to shoot a pool ball or something off center, like it won't be straight and consistent every time. So that's one thing to look at. Let me swivel this around. Oops. And then the other thing to look at, well, you already looked at coil settings, because it should fire fine at approximately factory coil settings, plus minus a value. So another thing that affects it is the pitch of the game. So it should be pitched at 6 degrees. I use a phone app for that. And then left to right is important, because if you have it, if it's not level, what I've seen happen before is it could throw it, and you'll have to watch it throw it. I've seen it hit the metal or the plastic ramp, and it will like deflect it or something. So take a look at that. And then I guess the last thing is, are you having any other issues with coil power in general? Meaning like does it fall short like when you're flipping the flippers only, or so ideally it shouldn't matter. So I would let me grab something. Let me grab a link for you. I have it here. You might have already watched this, but I will post it up anyway. Where is it? Come on. This one. I got it. So, if you haven't watched that already, take a look. That goes over, so the main things are like your 48 volt power supply, and then that goes from the power supply. It should go into that capacitor board, which essentially acts like a battery cap or a power reserve. And so at times of heavy coil usage, so for example, if you're like in a multi-ball and you're flipping while the catapult is trying to go, then it might not have enough gas or power in the tank yeah, so okay, so I would check it just depends on what what things you have installed. So I'm guessing you might need that capacitor board. If you don't already have it, we put it as like it's an optional upgrade, but coming from me, I would highly recommend that you have it if you don't. So it certainly helps, and it's yeah, they just early Houdinis did not have that. That didn't get implemented until after I started working for American. Yeah, no problem. Always happy to help. Especially you, Jack Daniels. So anything new on the horizon? Looking at games coming out. I was at the show, played some Rush for the first time. I got to play the Pro and the Premium. So that's been growing on me a bit. Couldn't really hear it well at the show, obviously, because it's loud. And then, of course, Godzilla is growing on me, but I kind of like the Rush theme better. Godzilla doesn't really speak to me so much. I mean, the art is pretty cool, but I'm not like a diehard Godzilla. So, I don't know. That and I kind of been putting feelers out there for, if you've ever played the WWF Royal Rumble, Data East. I've been looking around for that. That's a fun game. So I just kind of looked around at like who's got one in drivable distance that might be interested in selling one. But we'll see. It's not something I need to have right away, but someday I'll get one. I have two. I got Torpedo Alley's Data East, and then I got Last Action Hero. Those two. Oh, come on. Ugh. Come on, get out of there. This damn Battle Cat is... No, this is the... I'm not sure what his name is. He's the... He-Man cat. Oh, Ryan was telling me again. But he goes up next to the... I have Castle Grayskull up here. He's blocking my game. He was wedged. There, now I can slide the glass out. Level this thing. Oh, well, Jack Daniels, you are... There was a guy that just asked me that, and I just sent him, the answer is yes, because I'm helping out a guy in Canada right now. So I already know, so if you want the whole bag of goodies, the plastic goodies, yeah. So basically just cost, I'd have to estimate cost of shipping, and then, you know, the plastics aren't that much. I don't know. So, if you want me to do that for you, just because I'll have to do like a special item, because we don't technically sell them. If you want to I just need your address. Why don't you just send me an email? Send it to dave@americanpinball.com, and with your address, because I'm sure whatever ticket I had from you from before is long closed, so I'd have to dig through and find it. Not that I couldn't, but yeah. So I have your address. I can have Max estimate shipping for that. So it's just going to be like slingshot plastics. There's like a flipper alignment thing, some keychains. I forget what else is in there. So if anybody is curious, I think a guy in the Netherlands developed this app. Pin Guy. You can get it for iPhone, iOS. There's another one that's called like Pinball Leveler that works basically the same. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh, perfectly aligned. Oh, I didn't even need to do anything. Sweet. So I wanted to show this real quick for those that care or want to know. I use this app, right? And let me do this. So the app, it works pretty decent. Make sure my game is focused here. Good enough. Okay, so this app is all about, you need to calibrate it, right, on a level surface. Well, how do you find out a level surface to calibrate your phone app? Well, you have to use a bubble level. Well, you're using a imprecise tool to calibrate a more precise tool. So, if you've ever watched Rick and Morty, like a true level. So, looking at the bubble, it's pretty close. I feel like maybe the right hand side could come up. Anyway, a good way to test, what I always do after the app has said that it's good, is you can check with the bubble level, but another thing I really like, see how most games have a vertical. What happened? Jag Daniels, thank you for the bits. Much appreciated. Most games have a vertical line of some kind going up, right, with inserts or whatever. And so you want to take the ball and go all the way up as far as you can reach, and in line with that, let me do it with the other hand so you can see. You do it in line with the inserts, and then you want to let go as evenly as you can and let it roll down. It should go down exactly like that, straight down the middle. If it has an arc to it, then you have a little bit more work to do. So, or your app isn't calibrated properly. So that right there is perfectly level. Oh, let's do here. No, and do it a few times, because you might not always let go of it perfectly. Perfectly in the center there, but so that's one thing that I do when setting up for a stream. Make sure everything is leveled properly. On older games, I do a 5.5 pitch, so stuff from the 80s, and then newer games, somewhere around 6.5, 7, just depends. 6 to 7 degree pitch, depends on maybe what the manual says, or how you like your game set up. Obviously, the higher you have it pitched, the faster it's going to go. But then, if you have games that have maybe a steep ramp or something, you're not going to want to have it. You want to be able to get up the ramps. So, consider all of that. And then, of course, I always look at, do all the coils work, do all the lights work. Looks like there's one light out here I need to look at. With my other ones, looks like all the rest are working. I got one pink one right here. So let me move this going up. Take the hole out. Well, now it's working. Now it's these damn lamp sockets. Pink. Ah, okay. I see it. Just, you know, shitty lamp sockets. I got it now. Okay. Well, I might as well show this while I'm at it. Thank you, Jack Daniels. Yeah, this was one of my earlier restorations, where I did the playfield and the cabinet and all that. Still has the original lamp sockets, but I did it to pretty much all of them, and I'll show you. So I did the Molex connectors for the coils while I was at it. Anyway, talking lamp sockets, so hopefully you can see this. The lamp sockets on older games, the base can spin, and so it needs good contact with this what do you call it? This bracket. Because this is actually, when people talk about ground braid, it's not actually ground. This is actually the power that goes through. So it goes through this, and then it goes to the base of the socket, and then your negative, which is actually the ground, goes on this tab. And so if this bracket is so basically this whole thing is all riveted together, and you got like a little gasket in here that just kind of dries out over time, and it loses tension on the base of the socket. And anyway, so basically I just soldered the base of the socket to this bracket to keep it from spinning and to give it good connection. And then the other thing for this tab, a lot of times this tab will break loose from the rivet and get all, it just lose connection. So one thing you can do, let's see if there's yeah, I did it over here. Right here. So you can take the wire off the tab, and you have to like scuff up the button, and then you can solder the wire directly to that instead of on the tab that it has the bad connection, and that should fix your light bulbs. So anyway, sockets, pain in the ass sometimes. Which I heard there's a product out there called Yopsicles, which are like little LED boards. It doesn't make sense if you're doing if you're just doing a shop job or whatever, but if you're going through and if you're doing a whole playfield swap, then it would make sense for that, because you might be replacing all the sockets anyway, and so you add up the price of the socket plus the bulb, and so what a bulb is. What happened? How do you say that? Paisley? thank you for following. Appreciate it. So the bulb is like a buck or something, depending on where you go. And then the socket is like, I don't know. I want to say they're $1 something a piece. So you're replacing all of them. There's like 50, 60 lamp sockets on a playfield, plus the bulbs. So you're at like 150 plus dollars to, well, heck, it might be 150 just in bulbs. Anyway, the Yopsicles, I have yet to try them, but I know that people really like them. I just haven't had an opportunity, and I know that they're super popular. So check them out on, I think it's Pinside. He has a store, but it's like a little LED board. And I think the nice thing is it already has resistors on the little LED board for older games to get rid of the flicker. So you don't need to do a different lamp board or modification to the lamp board. It's already there, and then yeah, so it's win-win all around for that. Hi, Zell. I think you're typing in a language that I don't understand, so I'm sorry. You'll have to. I only speak English. Anyway, so I think. Oh, I was gonna check coils real quick. Okay. All right. After that, I think I'll call it good for this stream anyway. I'd be that much more set up for Friday. Make sure everything's working. Loud because I have the glass off. That's working. Cool. All right. I'm gonna leave the glass off for now because we typically put in magic glass for the glare. I have to find where my sheet is of that. But anyway, cool. Well, again, really appreciate you hanging out. I think with that, oh, so if you weren't at the beginning of the stream, I was talking about, I do have a line of Dave's Arcade swag. I commissioned an artist to do some designs. Even if you don't want to buy anything, just go to the swag site just to check it out, see what I have. Oops, that's the wrong thing. Hang on. I'll have it here. Here it is. Copy. Here we go. So, yeah, just to check it out, I am wearing the wizard one, and it's original art made so like it incorporates design elements from my arcade, and some of the colors and everything. So like on the guy's hat, it's like the same design as my carpet. Anyway, if you see something on there that like you want a shirt in a different color or a hat in a different color or something like that, please let me know. It works a little bit different than like other print-on-demand websites, so I'd be happy to make some adjustments and accommodate. But anyway, with that, I'm gonna end the stream here. Please do check us out tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, right? Yeah, Friday at 8 Central on Buffalo Pinball. So we will be streaming Sea Witch. All right, with that, thanks everybody. See you later. Oh.